Thank you for joining me to discuss the relationship between perinatal incontinence and postpartum depression. Perinatal incontinence refers to urinary and fecal incontinence experienced by pregnant or postpartum individuals. Urinary incontinence affects between 25 and 55% of pregnant people and 35% of postpartum people, while fecal incontinence is experienced by 13 to 25% of perinatal individuals. Postpartum depression, on the other hand, is a prevalent and complex issue that impacts the emotional and behavioral well-being of individuals after birth, affecting between 7 to 20% of people. Despite the significant impact that these perinatal complications have on pregnant and postpartum individuals, there is a lack of secondary research assessing the relationship between perinatal incontinence and postpartum depression. To address this gap, we conducted a systematic review of pregnant or postpartum people who experienced urinary or fecal incontinence and studies which evaluated postpartum depression up to 1 year after delivery. Our review included 13 studies that investigated the relationship between postpartum depression and urinary or fecal incontinence. We found a significant association between urinary incontinence and postpartum depression in 7 out of 11 studies, and a significant association between fecal incontinence and postpartum depression in 2 out of 3 studies. However, the quality of studies focused on fecal incontinence was lower, potentially due to its rarity as an exposure. Additionally, there was significant variability in the reported depression outcomes among studies, and many studies failed to report if depression was present among individuals prior to pregnancy. We found that there is a need for standardized measurement tools for incontinence and postpartum depression, evidence-based interventions for incontinence during pregnancy, and clinical evaluations of depression to strengthen inferences made about the relationship between exposure and outcome variables. More research examining the impact of perinatal incontinence with larger sample sizes is also needed. In conclusion, our systematic review suggests that both urinary and fecal incontinence are positively associated with postpartum depression, though additional research is needed to better understand the relationship between these variables and to develop effective interventions that can improve incontinence management and the emotional well-being of postpartum individuals.